What is up, guys? Wolfgang here. So today I want to talk about the Asus ROG Azoth. Now this is a pretty expensive keyboard, but it has some really cool features and I wanted to talk about it. I've been using it for about a month, so here we go. Now this is the Asus ROG Azoth brown switches version. There's a blue version and a red version. Depends on what you're looking for, but I went for the tactiles. That's mostly because I came from the browns on the Logitech MX Mechanical Mini. Even though for a very long time I've been more of a chiclet style guy, so the really thin laptop-like keyboards. I wanted to give good mechanical keyboards a try. My first shot was the MX Mechanical Mini, which is a video over there. And now I wanted to give, the pretty much enthusiast level a try. Now, of course, this could be improved on even more, but I bought this keyboard because it's most of the mods you would do on a keyboard already done on it. So it gives you a really good impression of what the custom keyboard hobby allows you to get. Asus is not sponsoring this video. This video is of my thoughts and my thoughts alone, and I bought this keyboard with my own money. So let's get into it. Now this keyboard, of course, it's from ROG. It'll always have that familiar branding from ROG. They have their logo over here on the OLED screen, as well as there's a logo over here. I think you can see that on video. And so it always follows the same branding Asus does with all their keyboards, all their mice. I even have the ROG Chakram X Orion. Check it over here, another video. But the point is that this keyboard is the same design as any other Asus product. However, since this keyboard offers interchangeable switches and interchangeable keycaps as well, you get to customize this. You get to buy your own preferred looking keycaps and change them around, which is why I bought these. Because I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I do not like the Asus font for my keyboards. This font is really nice in my opinion. Personally, this is the font I would be looking for on my keyboards, and it works really well. Now, of course, this keyboard has a bunch of gamer focused or gamer marketed features. So for example, it has a very high polling rate, which is pretty good. I've seen higher, but this is a really good keyboard for gaming. You also can set up macros. I believe it's with one of these keys down here. Since I removed the default keycaps, I can't quite tell which one it was, and I don't really mind because I don't use them, or I don't record them here, and I don't use them as well. And of course, well, it has the OLED screen, which is definitely a very different design feature that I haven't seen on many keyboards. Now about the screen, my question to Asus is why? I mean, there's some cool features in there. I'll share a screenshot of all the features I have in it in Armory Crate. My favorite feature for it is actually for the stats on my computer, and this does use the Asus Armory Crate stats. So for example, here you can see the temperature of my CPU and GPU on my computer. However, if you connect this via Bluetooth to your phone, it'll just cycle through the on cycle, continuously, which you'll be able to see in a sec. So it'll keep doing this pretty much forever, which, I mean, it's a bit distracting to me. It's not a big deal, but it's not my favorite. I wish you could turn that off. You can turn off you can lower the screen brightness with this button. I believe I won't have the option to do so anymore because I was playing around, because I only need those two settings on it on my computer. So that's why I don't have it anymore. I removed it, but I'll show you a screenshot of all those options. Now you may have seen me interacting with the screen with this button here. So here you have a button on the side, so right there. And you also have a rocker, which is how you can control, for example, volume. I'll just turn this off to not change any volume on my devices. But, pushing it down, you can lower the volume. Pushing it up, you can raise the volume. And you can pause by pressing in. Pretty cool. Definitely very unusual from keyboards. I haven't seen other keyboards have this. And, of course, this is kind of a trade-off to not have the function keys or, the media playback and stuff keys, which are multimedia keys, that's what I meant, which is, a positive and negative. Some people prefer them, some people do not like them. For me personally, this is a good option. As I don't like large keyboards, this is a really great trade-off. I've always sticked with, 60, 75 at most. I think this one's 75% keyboard. Never needed the 10 keys. Never really needed these keys. I do appreciate the delete, but if it didn't have the screen, the delete would be up here, and I'd prefer that personally. So yeah, this is a good size for me. It's as large as I would want my keyboard to be. Now then, lighting. You get several options, and I will open Armory Crate for this. You get several lighting options that you can play around with. You of course get the static, which is what I use most of the time. You get a breathing effect. You get color cycle. You get reactive, which I've never quite figured out. I think I see it now, but it's pretty subtle. You get rainbow, which is, RGB everywhere, which I kind of do enjoy, but not all the time. Ripple, one of my favorites. You get to, when you're typing, it'll make a ripple with RGB and cycle through different colors of the rainbow. There's Starry Night, which some of these may be more difficult than others to see. You get Quicksand, which I never really enjoyed. You get Current, which you get some streaks of light once in a while. Raindrop, vertical streaks of light. And, well, Aura Sync, which, if you have a lot of Aura stuff, it'll, come into effect, sync all your lights. Now, you may have seen that it's a bit difficult to tell what the lights are doing on video. In person, it's more bright than what you can see on video. But secondly, well, since my keycaps are not made for RGB, these do have a little bit of light pass through, but I wish they had a lot more. There's not too much for the light to be visible, which means most of the time you'll end up with not much RGB, which some people won't enjoy. For me personally, since I just enjoy static, it's fine. It's enough for what I want. So that's good for me. For some of you, it might be a deal breaker. Now then, I want to talk about the feel, which is my favorite part of this keyboard. Now, first of all, like I said, I enjoy the size quite a lot. And I am no keyboard expert, but these switches and this keyboard just feel amazing. I haven't used too many keyboards, to be honest, but the combination of everything they give you. So with the default, for example, I'm trouble pulling this off, but with the default switches, it's pretty good. As far as brown switches go, they feel okay. You get most of the tactile bump when you're going back, not exactly when you're going down. But you get the option as well to switch them out and yes, I did mean the pun. You get to switch them out with any switch or any keycap you want. Now, in my case, I went for the Wuche Studios, I believe it's tactile, silent tactile, the gray ones. And I also put a O-ring mod on the keys. So this makes the keyboard very quiet, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So audio sample real quick. That's what the main keys sound like. From all the letter keys, I did switch the switches out to these more quiet ones. However, I didn't exactly buy enough for the whole keyboard. So in this case, my other keys have the default switches. So for example, the backspace, enter, caps lock, and all those. And I personally do enjoy it that way. I do plan to buy more switches to make it even quieter all around, but for the time being, I enjoy it kind of like an accent key or accent sound for different functions. And when I'm typing, it's quiet, so I enjoy that. And I thought I wouldn't notice the lubrication of the keys as much, but it does make a difference. Trust me, for all of you who haven't tried it, it does make a difference. So next up, about battery life, I have not had any big issues with this keyboard. For the most part, since it's going to be at a desk, even when it's running out of battery, you can just plug it in real quick. And the port, of course, is Type-C, and it is on the left side, for you who care on what side it is. So when it runs out of battery, it's not that big of a deal, at least for me. And it has not really run out of battery ever since I fully charged it. Once in a while, I would recommend to just top it off, connect it when you remember, when you're going to sleep, or maybe you're just working on something and you think, hey, I should probably just charge my keyboard a bit. You can do that, plug it in, and it'll charge up. But for the most part, it hasn't run out for me, and that's pretty great. And battery, of course, will vary if you have your lights off, if you have the screen off, or if everything is, full brightness and all colors. And well, just to mention, there is a 2.4 gigahertz dongle as well as Bluetooth, and it works wired as well. Now, in terms of extras, I got quite a couple for this keyboard, as you kind of do have to for a mechanical custom keyboard. I bought a couple pair of keycaps, I bought the switches, I bought a wrist rest from Asus, of course. I bought the rubber bands, or the O-rings, that way I could put them on the keys. And well, the keyboard itself comes with a lot of extras as well. I'll show a picture of those because I don't want to pull out the box right now, but there's a bunch of custom keyboard stuff. So you get a lubrication kit for keys if you want to do that in the future. You get a little bit of lube, you get of course, the cable, you get a little brush and a bunch of other stuff. It'll be on screen. You get a lot of things with this keyboard, and you better, because it is a pretty expensive keyboard. I bought mine and $200, but I've seen it around $250 most of the time. So I would just wait for it to go down in price, and you can give it a try if you like it or not. I would recommend also to buy a couple pairs of switches at least to give them a try and see if it makes that big of a difference for you. Me personally, I was not planning to keep this keyboard until I tried switching out these switches, because although the default ones are good, they're pretty loud. So that was not what I wanted in my keyboard, especially coming from a favoritism of membrane keyboards, which basically are very quiet. So these switches made this keyboard stay, realistically. Now I do have a couple annoyances. They're really small, but the first one, well, it's a really tall and thick keyboard. So gone are the days of me not wanting a wrist rest or not needing it. Now I did buy one, the Asus one that I showed you guys. It works. It definitely makes it much more comfortable. I really do enjoy the feeling of this wrist rest. However, I haven't used that many different ones. This one was just one I bought because it was Asus as well, so I figured they'd maybe have the height nailed down and the sizing as well, which is my next annoyance. If you can see it on video, perhaps the wrist rest is just slightly larger than the keyboard. Now, it's a lot more annoying when you think about it, but when you're using it, you don't really notice it. In my case, it's actually been pretty good because it lets you put your hands in this sort of a position, and I'll move a little bit higher so you can see my wrists better. It makes it a bit more comfortable for me. I have very wide shoulders, so this makes it feel much more of a natural angle for my wrists and for my arms, rather than, maybe having, if it were, the exact size, maybe I would be hanging off the edge a little bit. So it being just a bit larger was perfect for me. So although aesthetically I would prefer it to be the same size, realistically it's kind of a feature, not a bug. So yeah, it's something to consider. And well, I guess a sort of annoyance is this keyboard is definitely not something you should be taking on the road. It is a heavy keyboard, so yes, it's a bit it definitely isn't my first choice for a on-the-go keyboard. Even something like the ROG Falcon, which is a smaller keyboard, it has a cover on it. That one's much better for travel. It's still pretty tall, but it's much better than this one for travel, in my opinion. However, for travel, I would use something like a chiclet style keyboard, which I have a video over here. Now, in conclusion, this keyboard is amazing to give modded keyboards a shot. I definitely didn't want to spend a lot of money and time into modding a keyboard to see if I like it. So just buying this and switching out the switches, which is a little bit strange at the beginning, but once you get used to it, it's, not a big deal. Once I switched them out and, felt what a modded keyboard feels like, and I do the quotes just because I didn't really mod it, but this keyboard feels amazing. I really love typing on it, and it has become my main keyboard for use of my computer, for gaming, for typing, for everything, which I never thought would ever happen. I did never think a mechanical keyboard would take over my desktop, but it has. So I can highly recommend this if you want to give modded keyboards a shot. This keyboard is really good for that. You get most of the benefits for very little of the cost, both price-wise, sort of, as well as time-wise. Now, another benefit from mechanical keyboards is that it'll save you money over time, perhaps, because if a switch breaks, you can replace the switch out, and there you go, your keyboard's back to working. In something like a membrane keyboard, it is much harder to repair a key that's broken, so this could save you money in the long term. Now, there's a lot of controversy about the O-rings, and I did make a video on that. But for me, it solves two issues. I don't like the sound of the keycap hitting the board, and I don't like long travel. So for me, the O-rings actually solves that by, shortening the travel by a bit, as well as dampening all sounds. Just one more time, I want to bring it up. If you skip the rest of the video and just came to the conclusion, I was going to return this keyboard until I switched the switches to the Wuche Studio ones. Trust me, the lubrication and these switches just feel insanely great, and for me, they complete this keyboard. So I highly recommend that if you want to give this keyboard a try, you switch out the switches. Once again, the ones from the factory are pretty good. They are lubed as well, but they're not the best. Now, I guess it does depend on what you're looking for, but if you're the kind of person that comes from membrane keyboards, switch them out. I highly recommend Wuche Studios. They come pre-lubricated. They're very quiet, very stable. So yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and the subscribe button if you want to watch more videos like this. Leave any questions you have about the keyboard in the comment section, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a great day.